I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the.
Hello, my name is Bob Rogers, aka Side Miles is my trail name. I am prepping to hike the Continental Divide Trail, also known as the CDT. It's a 3,100 mile trail from Canada to Mexico, or Mexico to Canada, depending on which direction you're going, through the Rockies. I'm expecting to take about 6 months for this hike. Previously hiked the Appalachian Trail. It's in the year that I hiked was 2,198.4 miles. I completed it in about 7 months. I have a list of questions from a non-hiker asking about hiking and through hiking, long distance hiking. Some of those questions seem rather silly to someone who's through hiked before or who's taken hiking very seriously, but many of the same questions come up regardless of who's asking. Today I'm going to go through some of those and hope to answer some of those questions for you. Now, time for some of those questions. The biggest question is probably, are you hiking alone? On a trail as popular as the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail, there's really no way you could hike it without seeing somebody else. You would have to hike at night in the winter, going southbound instead of northbound. It's just impossible to be out there truly alone. Now, what happens a lot is people show up and they start hiking, and after a couple weeks, everybody gets into a rhythm. You'll start seeing the same people at the same water sources, same shelters, same tenting areas. If they mesh up with you, then they become trammeling, and you hike with them regularly. You become what's called a trammelie, which is a trail family. And oftentimes those people become closer to you than real family. Another question is, are you going to carry all your food? Well, that's a loaded question. Yes and no. Except for the town meals, all the food will be carried eventually. But it would be the same as asking you if you're going to go grocery shopping for 6 months at a time. One, you don't know what you want to eat 6 months from now. Two, that would be terribly expensive. Three, you would run out of room in the car to put all the groceries. Same with backpacking. So you're gonna, on the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, you run into a town every 3 to 5 days. On the Continental Divide Trail, this is gonna be a little different in that there's a couple areas that are 100-mile carry without a resupply. Those 100 miles may take 5 days if you're doing 20 miles a day, or if they're at the beginning, like it will be for me at the north end of the trail, it's going to take 8 to 10 days to hike those 100 miles because we're just starting out and don't have trail legs yet and aren't hiking big miles. So we're going to have to carry 10 days worth of food, and at 2 pounds per day for an average, that's 20 pounds worth of just food. Add to that water, which is 2.2 pounds per liter. You're also not going to carry all the water with you. That would be thousands of gallons and tens of thousands of pounds. Most people carry a water filter with them, and they carry anywhere from 1 to 4 liters, depending on the environment. If it's desert and it's hot, you're going to carry more than if you're going up a mountain and there's a stream in 2 miles. Why carry it up the mountain? What about water? Well, most people carry a filter of some sort or another. If you get a bout of giardia, or commonly known as beaver fever, you'll learn quick to filter your water. I have never had that, and I don't plan on ever getting it, so I filter my water always. We all use there's a very popular app called Far Out, formerly known as Gut Hooks. In that app, it shows water locations, road crossings, shelters, gives a brief description, all that good stuff. The great thing about it is you can leave comments in the system, and then the hiker behind you can, if he's looking at a seasonal water source that may dry up, he can look at comments and see whether anybody left a message. Water's not here, or it's flowing great, that kind of thing. Same with the shelters and whatnot. Warning, there's a rattlesnake nearby, blah, blah, blah. Watch out for bears. Don't die of dysentery. Another common question is, are you going to gather berries and edible plants or hunt while on the trail? Well, my general response to that is usually a chuckle. You can either hunt and gather, or you can hike. If you were to do both, it would take you years to finish. You can either spend your days hiking, or you can spend your days looking for berries and critters. Ignoring the legality of it, you often cannot hunt with firearms. They're heavy, they're semi-delicate in that you wouldn't want to carry it 6 months in the rain without being able to clean it, etc. National parks often forbid firearms, and again, they're just generally heavy. In the case of the AT, you're on a 100-yard wide corridor that travels the northeast. So you have 10,000 different hikers every year trying to complete a thru hike. If all of them were to stop and pick berries and edible plants, there wouldn't be much left for berries and plants. And again, you can spend your hours hunting for berries or hiking. Most people choose to hike. What kind of food do you eat? Anything instant. Anything that's instant and dry. Not too many people walk around with a can of Campbell's soup in their pocket for a meal. Those are heavy. Weight is one of the biggest concerns for hikers. You're carrying everything with you. So every ounce adds up to a pound. Every pound adds up to more weight on your back. There's a fine line between comfort and overpacking. Some people, ultralight hikers, will carry less than 10 pounds as their base weight. Base weight is all of your gear minus water, food, fuel, anything consumable. My base weight is roughly 20 pounds, give or take. I am not an ultralight hiker, but I am not trying to set the heavyweight championship either. So the food, what kind of food do you eat? Anything dry, anything instant, anything that can be wrapped in tortilla. So some of the favorites are chicken, tuna, Spam in a foil pack, peanut butter, jelly, salami, pepperoni, anything like that. North side dishes are great. They cook up in 3 to 5 minutes. They're not great for nutrition, but they get the job done. What type of knowledge do you have to have in order to do a long trek? There's no special permits or anything like that. There's no quiz before you go. If you think you can do it, try it. If you end up going back home, well, hopefully you learned something. Being able to read a compass and a topographical map is obviously helpful to keep from getting lost. There's apps out today, far out, all kinds of online maps. So as long as you have satellite signal, you can make emergency calls these days. You can generally use GPS, find out where you're at, where the trail is at. It's not quite as bad as it used to be. Very few people carry paper maps. I haven't seen anybody with a sextant yet trying to navigate by stars or anything like that. The trails are usually well marked. The CDT is going to be a little different in that there's a lot of alternates that can be taken. This trail is more of a choose your own adventure type trail versus a narrow corridor with only one route to go. Being able to read the terrain helps if you're looking for water, that kind of thing. You're not out there, with the divining rod trying to find water to dig a well or anything like that. But the CDT has water caches every so often where people purposely leave water out in milk jugs and whatnot to help the hikers get through the desert sections, the drier sections. And for that, we're grateful. What do you do in an emergency when you have no signal? Well, the first thing you do is something you don't do. Don't panic. Take care of whatever the situation is as best you can, and then hopefully move on to find signal and get help if needed. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. A lot of people carry Garmin InReach Mini or some other type of SOS GPS locator for emergencies. That way paramedics can come out and get you if absolutely necessary. It's Best thing to do is don't get in trouble. Don't make stupid decisions. Easier said than done if you're starting to dehydrate, starting to get hypothermic. Dumb mistakes are easy to make at that point. You make bad decisions. So the best thing to do is sit down, assess the situation, treat the situation the best you can, and go from there. Do you need to pee or poop away from the campsite? Leave no trace is the guiding principle here for proper etiquette, trail etiquette. You're supposed to be 200 feet from either the trail or your campsite. You also want to do this to prevent animals from getting nearby, that kind of thing. You can find leave no trace advice all over the internet if you search for it. What kind of hiking bag do you have? Well, this depends on who you ask. Everybody has a favorite. And it depends when you ask. If you asked in the 1970s or 1980s, they'd be external frame packs. Those kind of packs are very rare these days. Beside me, you'll see the Osprey Exos 58 liter. This is my preferred pack. It weighs about 2.5 pounds empty. It's an internal frame. There is a composite frame inside of it. It has this mesh that keeps the back of the backpack from actually touching your back as you're hiking, which allows air to get through there and breathe. Depends on how much weight you're carrying. Ultralight backpackers don't need the internal frame or external frame. They can get away with what is essentially just a knapsack. If you're carrying 25 to 45 pounds, you need at least an internal frame. If you're going beyond 45 pounds, then external frame is probably the way to go. If you're carrying a 40 to 45 pounds, you should probably be using an external frame backpack. They just help spread out the load across your back and it makes it more comfortable. If you were to try to do that with just a pillow sack, that would get uncomfortable very quickly. So to the fans of Grandma Gateway, yes, she hiked with a pillowcase and a shower curtain kind of thing for shelter, but her hike was also very different in that when she hiked, much of the trail was along the roads, and you could often stop in and have a meal with a family, that kind of thing. The trail for the Appalachian Trail is almost completely off-road, so there's very little of that today. How many miles are you hiking and are you afraid of getting lost? Well, overall, I plan on hiking 3,100 miles, the entire trail. To break that down into daily averages, I'm hoping to hit 25 to 30 miles a day once we get trail legs. Trail legs is just after you've been out for a while. Trail legs is a term that I've been using fairly often. It's just after you've been out on the trail for 6 weeks. Your body's used to hiking now. You're used to carrying the weight. You're used to the elevation changes. So you can knock out 20, 25, or in the case of this Continental Divide Trail, even 30 plus miles a day. Hopefully once we hit our stride, we'll be doing 25 to 30 miles a day just as an average day without a whole lot of effort. As for getting lost, again, we have the app Far Out. We'll also have supplemental maps looking for alternate trails. A lot of this will be bushwhacking from one trail to another. It's not a paved trail. It's not a well-groomed trail. That kind of thing. It's through remote regions with very little traffic. Some of the trail sees so little traffic because of very popular alternates that it's hard to tell if you're even on the trail or not. How is elevation going to affect your hike? Well, going up mountains, it sucks. Once you're at the top and you have a view, it's great. Getting there, that's the problem. So just hike as far as you can, take a break, hike again, take a break. That may be miles, maybe minutes. It's just a matter of one foot in front of the other. On the Appalachian Trail, by the time you complete the trail, you have summited Mount Everest 16 times round trip. So there's 550,000 feet of elevation gain and loss on the Appalachian Trail, even though they have the shortest, lowest mountains. The Appalachian Trail also has the steepest grade for a quarter-mile section. It also has the most PUDs, pointless ups and downs. Pointless ups and downs are, there's a hill on the trail, you're going up that hill. That's where the trail is. There's no reason to go up that hill other than that's where the trail is. There's no view. You're surrounded by trees. There's nothing at the top. It's just there. That's a PUD. Do you stay at the same place multiple nights? On trail, generally not. Unless you're stuck in a storm and holding out in a shelter, staying out of the weather. Generally, you're going from one camping spot to the next. In town, that's often called a vortex. Out on trail, you miss pizza, you miss hamburgers, you miss a real bed, you miss showers. You're waiting for a friend to catch up. You're waiting for a resupply to show up, that kind of thing. Oftentimes, it's easy to get vortexed into a town and stay 3-4 days. Going to try to avoid that, but again, it's choose your own adventure. If you're hanging out, waiting for some friends, having fun, go ahead, why not? It's your hike, you hike it. Essential gear. If you ask 5 people, you get 7 different answers. Again, from the ultralight hikers, you'll get, they travel with a poncho as a tent and a poncho. What type of environmental factors do you have to worry about? The easy answer to that is all of them. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it rainy? Is it wet? Is it dry? Where's the water? Are you going to get buried in snow? Etc. Rain can be dangerous not just because you're cold and wet, but because the rivers will swell. Crossing them becomes dangerous. Snow is obvious. Hypothermia. Heat can be a problem not just because of heat stroke, but also because all the water evaporates and the seasonal water sources are gone. If you're relying on a seasonal water source to be there and it's not, what do? Well, you hope for the best because there's no way to create water on the trail. What type of first aid knowledge do you have? Well, in my case, I'm ex-Navy. They did what they called advanced first aid, which wasn't terribly advanced. However, if you happen to get shrapnel through a lung, I know how to treat a frothing chest wound. That said, hopefully we don't see any of those on the trail. The biggest issues usually are blisters, scrapes, might see an occasional broken bone. I have not. I've scraped my own leg enough that it probably should have had stitches, but a little super glue or arm seal, a secondary skin that tattoo shops use, will patch you up pretty quick and generally safe to get you through. Is there anything on the trail to see? Well, there's obviously the views, but in this particular question was more about artifacts, historical things, arrowheads, that kind of thing. Again, leave no trace is if you find something, leave it, don't pick it up. Don't go souvenir hunting, that kind of thing. If you're in a national park, that's actually the law. What is your main focus on trail? Well, rule number 1 is don't die. Rule number 2 is, if in doubt, see rule 1. All the other rules, they're negotiable. If you ask a hiker what their main concern is, it's going to boil down to one of 3 things. What am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? How many miles am I going to hike? Life is pretty simple out there. Those are the 3 things that you have to contend with, along with the weather, of course. But that figures into how far are you going to hike and where are you going to resupply, that kind of thing. In heavy rain or a bad cold front, most people get off trail and go find a hostel to stay at, ride out the weather, then get back on trail after the weather is cleared up. But again, the life is simple on the trail. What are you going to eat? Where are you going to sleep? And how many miles are you going to hike today? Those are the big concerns for most hikers. Do you need a certain amount of money to do a thru hike? Well, you need enough money to get you through the thru hike, obviously. But that depends on you. How much do you like beer? How much do you like pizza? How much do you like spending time in town? You can get by on as little as $2,000. If you do your own dehydrating and pre-pack your own foods, that kind of thing, you can do probably even cheaper if you really wanted to. Most people spend between $8,000 and $10,000 for a 6-month hike, which isn't too bad considering how much you spend when you're in town. Which isn't too bad considering how much you spend when you're not hiking for a 6-month period. How durable is your tent? Again, this goes back to, are you an ultralight hiker or are you willing to carry weight? You give up durability when you give up weight. There's no easy way around that. With today's modern fabrics, tents are becoming more durable and lighter, but again, there's a trade-off between weight and durability. My particular tent is not terribly durable, but it is very light. It's 22 ounces for a 2-person tent. I use the Z-Pack Duplex XL. The XL gives you an extra, I don't know, foot worth of room inside the tent on length. Being that I'm 6'1" and I like to keep my backpack in the tent with me overnight, I find that I've got more than enough room in the Duplex XL. What percentage of your bag weight is food? Well, the general rule of thumb is 100 calories per ounce or leave it on the shelf, and 2 pounds of food per day. That varies obviously by person, body type, metabolism, and weather. If it's cold out, you're going to burn more calories.